Hello, everyone. This is Jane and Zaria, and Zora is somewhere in the wings. And of course, we have our very, very special guest, and that is Q. Today being June the 22nd, 2022. Isn't that interesting? All right, well, we won't talk about numbers right now, but for today, Q will begin and continue on his bio regarding his existence here on our planet now. He will talk about more about his lineage, the importance of that, as well as his connections with the FBI, CIA, and all those other governmental type of connections. But before we bring Q on, I know that Zaria would like to say a few words more about our beloved Q. Take it away, Zaria.
Q, as you know him, we know him as Source. And his other aspects have been deities, have been Yeshua, you know him, which you know as Jesus, Mohammed, Krishna, Buddha, and probably a few others. But anyway, so here's Q.
That's quite an introduction. How do I follow that? Wow. So I have to be this. I have to be something now, don't I? I love it. I love it.
You. Thank you.
Maybe we should start the way we usually start. Is that okay?
Oh, that would be beautiful. Thanks.
That's
Thank
fine.
you.
That's fine.
Let's tell a story that's in a great song, if you don't mind. Is that okay?
We were kind of hoping for that.
And here we go. I'm very impressed with this artist, and I want to share it with everyone. The boy child is locked in the fisherman's yard. There's a bloodless moon where the oceans die. A shoal of night stars hang fire in the nets, and the chaos of cages where the crayfish lie. Where is the fisherman? Where is the goat? Where is the keeper in his carrion coat? Eclipse on the moon when the dark bird flies. Where is the child with his father's eyes? He's the king of the ninth world, the twisted sun of the fog bells toll, and each and every lobster cage, a tortured human soul. These are the souls of broken factories, the subject slaves of the broken crown, the dead accounting of old guilty promises. These are the souls of the broken town. These are the soul cages. These are the soul cages. I have a wager, the brave child spoke. The fisherman laughed, though disturbed at the joke. You will drink what I drink, but you must equal me. And if the drink leaves me standing, a soul shall go free. I have here a cask of the most magical wine, a vintage that blessed every ship in the line. It's wrung from the blood of the sailors who died, young white bodies adrift in the tide. And what's in it for me, my pretty young thing? Why should I whistle when the caged bird sings? If you lose a wager with the king of the sea, you'll spend the rest of forever in the cage with me. These are the soul cages. A body lies open in the fisherman's yard, like the side of a ship where the iceberg rips. One less soul in the soul cages. One last curse on the fisherman's lips. These are the soul cages. And he dreamed of the ship on the sea. It would carry his father and he to a place they could never be found, to a place far away from this town, a Newcastle ship without coals. They would sail to the island of souls. These are the soul cages. There's a little black spot on the sun today. It's the same old thing as yesterday. I stood here before inside the pouring rain, the world turning circles, running around my brain. I'm always hoping that you'll end this rain. It's my destiny to be the king of pain. And that is from the beloved Sting. I hope that helps start our show off.
That was I recognize that. So it was beautiful. Perfect. Again, Q. It just kind of brings tears. So thank you for that as a beautiful introduction to this call with you today. And we know that your story is very impactful, and it is a tearjerker as well. So from there, let's go ahead and continue, Q, if you will.
Yeah, I guess I want to keep, the shows in a sequence where people can follow it. But it's, the real goal here before I get here is to make sure I can't get back in here. And so I assume the patterns of the topics we've talked about is getting more and more evident in that when I look at Earth in general, this is a gross overstatement, but when I look at mammalians, the way humans have been processed, keyword being processed, the manipulation here is so much grander than the last time I was here, and I want to always use me as the example, and I want to be martyred continuously for several reasons, and that is to see why this version of humans is so much different than when I was here last. And so I am not unique in the storyline here. I'm just fortunate and unfortunate that I've got all my memories back, or at least a good portion of them, so that we can start working with it and do something with it. So Billy Zorea's introduction, her introduction to me is accurate. And my time here has always been very different. And I want to do my best to explain that over and over again. And I can explain it in this lifetime, so that we can use the representation of one individual's participation here in individuality and work with it in our own individual lives. Is that okay if I keep going that way, Jane?
It's yes, show. Of course. Yes.
Okay. And so when we left off, we spent a good heavy amount of time talking about Area 51 with my experience, Billy, and why it was so valuable for me to get in here. Because by now I assume everyone knows Area 51 was, for me, primarily a penitentiary. And then, of course, research and development regarding the technology that would come into what I would now call the abduction center, which is really was a collaboration center eons and eons ago. And so just because we would use a vessel to get in here, we didn't always need a vessel to get in here. But because the hindrances around your planet, our planet, it is so dramatic, you need a vessel now. But it used to be a lot easier to get here for several reasons. This was a planet of light. It is always light, and I want to be careful not to install beliefs. But this is the knowledge that I want to share, at least. Is this planet of light was very coveted. Again, this is a considered a resort in the universe. It's a water planet. It's magnificent. It's amazing, and to have a spirit back in this planet is shockingly, ecstatically amazing. To get this planet recovering is a magnificent event. great respect and appreciation for Hollow Earth, Inner Earth people. It's their baby. It's always been their baby. And so to have so much beautiful energy here again is my great excitement, and it's primarily the reason I'm here. But using my experience as an individual, in individuality in this lifetime, I want to share with you some of my experiences and how it worked, and how it might explain some of the experiences you have in your infrastructures, your governance, your legacy as a human here. The reason the Area 51 is so coveted is because not only do you get the technology, but you get a wealth of intelligence. So when we come from another dimension, so whether it's me or another being from another dimension, you get a vast amount of intelligence. And the people who are coveting it aren't sharing it, as you can imagine. So they're not sharing your technology, your natural technology that's within your heart. And what we're able to do when we come from a higher dimension to this dimension is we still carry that knowledge. And so with it, you must remember, is my goal, is for all of us to remember, when you're a higher frequency being and or have all of your light in you, there's not one thing you don't know. You know everything. There's not one piece of information that you cannot go sort, extrapolate, look at. It's infinite. The only thing that's different about you is you don't necessarily have the experience of being that knowledge. So gods, as Billy and Jane say, gods and goddesses, you literally are so vastly, incredibly compromised here. You don't have it. You're looking for it. You, like most people that I get to talk to, it's such a privilege to get those phone calls, by the way. Most of the individuals I talk to, they know something's missing, but they can't quite put their finger on it. And I just got to hear the radio show host, producer, and owner, BBS Don, say, I remember being this. I remember doing this, and so you can basically build it back whenever you want, and that's what I did. Okay, so when I came into this reality, I did it on purpose in singularity so that I could get captured. Okay, and so it was very important that I got captured so that I can get in the karmic wheel of this planet. So these guys are so good, they can see when a light being or a being with more light is coming into the planet. So the coveting of technology was so desired. Literally knew that I offered them a cheeseburger, a steak, sandwich, whatever you like to call it. Gave them technology so I could get in here and get on the karmic wheel. Knowing full well the body that I used here wasn't going to survive very long because of the atmosphere. But when the body passes, if you will, I know I'm going to transfer and get into the karmic wheel here, and then get recycled like the rest of us here. We're, to be brutally honest, we're in a recycling center here. Okay, and I didn't expect it to be as heavy-handed as it is here, but essentially the light body is getting trapped in a little net system, and when I say little, it's very small, and we're reincarnated into another body. And so what's going on planet Earth, as a very, very gross overstatement, is that there's a great race to build another version of humans. to make sure we will get recycled again into a vessel that's even weaker than what we are now. So that is my great messaging. I didn't expect to do this messaging with you all, but I need to be brutally honest and take great care of my heart when I give it to you. This is the great opportunity for us, and that is to live from our center, from our true heart center, and this will all be resolved. So the solution here is simple. Feel my words. Feel me. Know that you have the same heart. We all have this incredible ability to stay in our heart center each and every day, each and every moment, with great care and great compassion. That is my message for you all today. We're ready, and we're here now, and we can live forever because we do live forever. We live forever, and we can choose our next choice. Each and every choice is up to us. Do you think that helps, Jane?
That was magnificent, Q. So you, on purpose, decided to come here and be captured. And so tell us more in regards to that lineage and why you chose that lineage to be here, and what more you discovered now.
Thank you. So what I didn't expect here is how heavy-handed the aliens are in their relationship with the genetic manipulation of humans. That has surprised. In fact, I would like to do absolutely no conversation about aliens, but they're absolutely what I would like to talk about is relating them to the dark or light, because there is wonderful, beautiful aliens. That would be a being that's not from this planet. There are beautiful, beautiful beings all over this universe. So I'm going to change the relationship and the nomenclature to dark. So the dark ones, what they did to me is, first of all, we're all identified. We have a ranking system. A lot of our genetics have a barcode to assimilate, identify who has more capability or less capability, and so they can basically see the column of light that comes into a physical vessel. They're measuring the volume of physicality and its relationship with how much source light, that's all of you, we come into physicality. So you'll notice that there's some races on the planet that get martyred more than others. Well, that's really just genetic manipulation. Wait a minute, these guys are getting a little too far down the road. Let's stifle them. Let's fill them full of shots, by the way. You can see it through the eons. And so this is what I desire to bring, is the value that I desire to give you is when I've been here before and thousands and thousands of years ago, the stifling looked much more limited. And now it's grown to quite efficient, very efficient. So we were usually, I'll get on point there, Jane, but we're usually allowed to evolve in a more organic way of our expression of ourselves. So it would be very common to live 400 or 500 years and you wouldn't really change much physically. And then you'd say, hey, I want to do something else. And you could go to another region of the multiverse. You could be another being on this planet. You could go back to your home planet. You have many, many, many choices that I won't even begin to explain. But to the point at hand here is when you can see that volume of light coming into a physical being, what you're seeing now is the infrastructure to manage that. And that would be your local government, your middle government, all of the governments, all the hierarchical systems here are in a pyramid. They all look hierarchical for one reason and one reason. You may have some fancy names you like to call out that are controlling your money and controlling your processes, but I assure you, the ones that don't have names and the ones you can't see are the ones who put this all together, and that's the value I want to bring. So I'll show you how it related to me. So as I transfer from the original body that I got here to this body, what it really looked like to the bad guys, the dark, is okay, we got a problem here. He's here. Okay, what are we going to do about it? Well, we can't kill him. We know we can't kill him. We can't kill anybody. We can only hinder. So literally, I'm identified with a signature that it has to do with sound and light. So they know when they look at us, the machines they have, they know which. So if we looked at Zorea, Billy, she would have a frequency and a volume of light that is off the charts. So when they see that, they go, okay, what are we going to do that? So for me, I'll let her tell her own story. I've never listened to her show, so forgive me, but I'm aware that maybe this information is redundant. But for me, what it looked like is the what we've talked about already is the abduction of my family. So not only did my family have more of those abilities, genetic family is what I'm saying, they manage it all throughout the lineage until now I get back into a body. Now I get into a body, and here's what it looked like is, first of all, destroy the family as efficiently as possible without looking like you're destroying the family. So I believe we've talked about that. So that would be mom and dad get divorced. Mom gets abducted by a central intelligent agent expert. And then, so we'll do the Cliff Notes version. They get married overnight. All of a sudden, you have a new father, but your stepfather isn't human, but you think he's human. Step two, you will all of a sudden have an uncle that is a criminologist and a professor in colleges as a criminologist and worked as a data cruncher. And then in my case, I would be put in the programs in Washington, D.C. and so forth. And they'd make sure that they got the most bang for their buck out of me. Okay, so now you not only are the implants in me to manage me, but they also get the knowledge that they want. So the uncle now, by the way, still president of colleges. We'll keep his name secret for today, but this is how good they are. The criminologist, the data cruncher, the FBI superior is run 3 major colleges in this country, in the United States. And so not only is the layers of intricacy and how they work with us, they're also grappling for who's going to control the knowledge. All right. So anyway, in any event, how are we going to keep this guy in his place? Well, we'll put a microchip in him. We put a biological implant, and we'll do a soul overlay. So basically, the soul overlay is controlled by the CIA predominantly. But when I use these names, I'm very careful to explain that the silos that exist all over this planet aren't exclusively the CIA or the KGB, or because they're all got compartments of espionage within espionage. So the double agent term should be called quadruple double agent because it's so vast in all these systems. Now, here's primarily what these agencies have used me for, and what they use everyone for when you get to the dark level. So remove names now, and we're going to go to the dark level. All of us have the capability to bilocate, and all of us have the ability to fractionalize your spirit. So if I can make a human that seats itself in a Merkaba, the Merkaba seats itself in the soul of a physical being, how many humans could I make to get a spirit to grab onto it? And that's a very short version. But if I could make an identical seating of a soul, spirit, whatever word you like there, how many us could they make and us still grab onto it? And that is the purpose of the song when I started this. So this is a great race here. And I can break down that story even better if you'd like, to make as many hits. So spirit, source, all of us, we have smothered this place now with us. And they can't keep up with the volume of humans in a compartmentalized singular fashion the way they want. And it's a great race now because we're on the ascension cycle right now. We're right here right now. So that is my great story in great summary. But essentially, this version of humans is being remanufactured underground right now in a way in which it can receive even less light, even less resources. And I can assure you, when I go underground and I work with the military, there's not quite a solution yet how to deal with it. And I do have the solution, and that is we are spirit beings, and we live from our heart center, not from our minds. We live from our hearts, and everything will be reset perfectly, I assure you. How else do we want to proceed today, Jane?
You said that perhaps maybe you could talk a little bit more about the soul overlay.
Mm-hmm.
How does that actually happen?
Yeah, so all three of the implants came from, the microchip came out of my tailbone. And so the body rejected that one. And the special forces, they basically rang my phone, which is in my skull. So they do have skull technology where they can just call your head. Okay, and so that's how I started rejecting the implants, because the gentleman that did help me was killed almost instantly when they used the satellite hookup to call me in the head. So they can literally talk to you without a phone in your skull. Okay, so if once you get a little more comfortable looking at that technology, you'll see. Okay, so why would they have? So we have the microchip in me. Then we have the biological implant. Well, that's to control, let's say, monitor and manage my life force. So once you have feedback from another living thing in something, you can get a more genetic modeling and see how it's working with the volume of spirit that's coming in the physical body. And then the overlay was exclusively the industrial military complex. Mm-hmm. And what that did was just make a big buffer, make a filter that exceeded what the DNA could do. So the DNA, your DNA is basically, in summary, is a great filtering system. So you don't get as much of your consciousness in you. And it can be managed and modeled and sure, this is old news because we've talked about this, but that overlay on this, the soul overlay basically enhances the volume of light that comes into a physical being. So So it looks kind of like an umbrella over the implementation of the light body coming into the physical body. And so it's kind of it's very difficult to explain, but basically it's fragmenting the volume of light that can come into a physical body. So it looks like a strainer, looks a lot like a strainer over an individual. And so when that was removed, the last implant for me, that was 2017, and we've talked about that. And the special forces used Arcturian technology to remove it. Had tremendous to do with sound and harmonics, and I'll forever be indebted to that beautiful person, Max Steele, for helping me with that. And Tony is cherished and loved forever for me. And anyway, that's basically how it works, if that answers your question.
Okay. Well, so how many, so in your journey on this planet, what is the percentage of what we call you guys, the super soldiers that were manipulated into this? Where are they? I mean, were you able to communicate with each other then at all, or were you couldn't?
Yeah, so I can explain some of the technology that we all have. So there are people that I can talk to in real time right now on the other side of the planet. Not a problem. Do it every day. It's normal for us. The volume of people that were used in hyperspace travels and or transferring information, knowledge, what have you, is very vast. And I don't believe I can put a number to it. The individuals that have as much light in them as I do, as I'm not here, is what I want to remind everybody. I am participating with you, but I am primarily in the light, not here. So you're seeing me in a physical body, but this is the value that I bring to you is the best, and my best desire is I'm only here 150 times a second, and that percentage that I'm not here is the knowledge you're hearing me speak to you with. So when you ask me how many light beings are here that aren't from this individuality, in my group there's only 3. There's 2 more me's, and that's how we created the collective consciousness. We started with 5. And one, just like me, was abducted by the dark. And then the other 2 of us, we broke. The other 2 were just basically waiting for me. And so once we got the overlays off of me, that's when the 3 of us, we used our compartmentalization as a primary increase of source here, light, whatever word you like there. So that's why we are growing the light back on this planet so quickly, is because all 3 of us work as a conductivity and in a conduit. Does that help a little bit?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Thank you for that.
So it's everyone's growing their light. Don't get me wrong. It just took the light to help pump up the tire, so to speak. That's how it works.
So if the dark are already in the process of creating or wanting to create and are creating, more of us, but in where this version of humans is less of the light, etc. How many have they already created so far?
How many have they created so far? Meaning what?
Meaning that these are already the ones that are going to be taking over, once we move into the light, more of the light. But in the meantime, while we're doing that, they're still wanting to create and are creating other beings, humans, that are less of the light so that they can continue to create and be dark.
Outstanding question. Well, we're going to stop that now, aren't we? We're going to get on a radio show called BBS, and we're going to put an end to this. And it's not going to happen any longer, because we're growing out of this hoodwinking. And that is when we live a life of our highest excitement and joy. God, I'm tired of hearing me too, everyone. You'll find that your choices will be unlimited. And that's the messaging I will continue with, is that inspiration is what they cannot touch. They can't even begin to model it. And that's so. Fortunately, we're all multidimensional beings. Unfortunately, we're multidimensional beings because we're so vast. We're so vast. And so if I can get everyone to recognize that and realize that the indoctrination here is every single book on this planet. And so if we would just use our heart center, there is no answer to your question because they can't touch us. Does that make sense?
Of course. But what about the ones that already have been manufactured, already have been created, that are already, lesser of the light, and they are basically robots?
It's the extrapolation. It's the sorting of the karmic recycling center. So if the physical beings that they're making, the genetic beings they're making,
yes,
are designed to have less light in them. But we have more desire to grow our light body. So they basically shot themselves in the foot because our light is growing so exponential. We're not going to fit into these vessels they're making. So they're playing the same game over and over again. Okay, wait a minute. So what do you say there, Q? Okay. Here's what it looks like from their point of view. We got to make sure they don't get too much light back in them. Not for knowledge, just for volume of light. But we want just enough so we can keep them generating a dimensional reality for the hierarchical system of the dark. Right. See, the dark is really doesn't care for me and this information. Okay, here's what they don't want you to know. See, they're cutting and pasting time because of the volume of light that is not in us, knowing full well they can't cut and paste time if we bring in more volume of light into us. So the individuals that don't have names, that are playing with time, space, and the indirect and direct realities, they're counting on you not believing a word I say. They're measuring the volume of consciousness in each and every one of us, and they believe, they know in their way that you all are going to observe this information and not be able to attach it to your spirit body, your light. So literally counting on that next, to answer your question, to count on that next genetic manipulation, the next version of humans.
Yes.
They're going to make the brain even more powerful. So that you start using the brain more proficiently as the primary resource for making your choices and decisions. They're going to make you super smart. You're already seeing it right in front of your eyes. The real war here is to get you hooked up to your technology and to see that knowledge now from the mind point of view, not from the heart center. Does that make sense?
Yes. So how do we stop that? Now, I understand about as far as, the love and the light and coming from the heart center, but the ones that are already immersed and already are in that the dark, where they're using most of their minds rather than their heart, that how do we help save some of those individuals?
So it's a beautiful question. To have the great responsibility of going forward and backwards in time, many times. My favorite joke was Stuart Swerdlow's, "I used to time travel with you." Nobody gets it, of course. But I used to. It's such a privilege to get asked that question, Jane, and a great responsibility. The way I've seen other universes and planets do it consistently was to bring in more of them into them in singularity. So the question is incomplete because, with great respect, because what's unique about this version of humans is we have so much singularity. Mm-hmm. And when we're in other dimensions, other frequencies, whatever word you like there, other multiverses, we can be more than just individuality. And so that the expression of ourselves can be individual, but it has so much more capability when it's in a different version of a human. So the real gross salutation that I have for you is to grow more of our collective. And that would be whether it's using your commands. You're already seeing it in most of what you're calling the psychic community. They're able to talk to each other. They're able to psychically look at people's past lives, relationships with the people who are in their lives. Well, that's just the beginning. That's just the most psychic person on the planet is only got a very small portion of what we're usually like in a different version of humans as a collective. So to have all those abilities back is really the stifling, attempted, I will say, stifling of our true self in singularity. Does that make sense? I've
got another question.
I felt I can feel them starting to attack us right now. Okay. And so if you just breathe a couple times.
That's
okay.
True.
And so, okay. So they're okay. And this is really good. And this is what I want. So for the people listening, I really, yep, go ahead.
The term unlimited is not unlimited. It's limitless.
Love it. Okay. Teach me this language someday because I can't figure it out.
Anyway, as you were saying, Q.
As you were saying, go ahead.
The opportunity that I will always have here, fortunately and unfortunately, is to see what direction these folks are coming from. So they know they're dust when they attack us. They know they can't compete with us, but they slap us in the face and they run away. So the beauty of just getting attacked for Jane is really awesome because I just nailed their asses. Okay, so they can't attack another person. Okay, so here's how it works. Here's how the dark works. They basically cut and pasted time in my conversation and did their best to make an abduction attempt. And so the abduction process looked like, and by the way, Jane gets attacked a lot while she's on the radio with me. Almost every time she's been attacked. And so what it looks like is they're taking thoughts, stealing the thoughts as an energetic system. So she lost her thought. So she was about ready to talk to it. Now, notice that Jane and I haven't talked about this, but she's gonna validate. So what they did is they just took a snapshot of time and regressed it about 10 minutes. So they basically set back time 10 minutes. Now she loses her thought. Now she has to start over, and we lose our dialogue. Jane, would you like to validate it?
Yes, you're absolutely correct. It's like I
Okay,
lost
so
everything I was
okay,
thinking.
and so this is the real abduction process they don't want you to know about, and they don't want me to tell you about, and that is when you live in the heart center. So this is a lot of work running these radio shows. This is a tremendous amount of work, and so she's got to work hard to get the next question up and make this entertaining. Make sure we're getting good use of our time and so forth. Well, that's awesome. Okay, well that's what they're really counting on, is getting us to use our mind to do the processing, instead of the observing through our knowledge base, our heart center. And so that's why it's so easy for all of us to get cut and pasted with the drama through our mind energy. Now, what shall we talk about?
Well, I think one of the things that we could talk about right now, well, no, just a couple of things. So one, I'd like you, if you could go and backtrack a little bit more about your lineage, about your uncle, and how did that all how did that impact you? I mean, understanding and knowing what was happening. I mean, and you lived through it. That's amazing.
Yeah. So the first section of my life, in the younger years when they abducted my mother, for lack of a better term, the real goal was to get me in the underworld processes that are actually in the above world, and doing all the tortures. And so the torture systems that they implemented me into were really to they covet the volume of light that we would have. So there's many humans here that have a lot of light in them, and so to get me was just a great privilege, knowing full well who I was, what I'm going to do. You know, they have the ability to see what you are. You have an identity. Mm-hmm. And so to be coveted in, you know, the multiple tortures that I went through was really to scavenge the volume of light energetics from me and capture it. They could do it with many different ways. But essentially, when you put a being with more light in them through torture, you actually get a lot of knowledge. And that knowledge is captured and then stored. It can be sorted. It can be recorded. You can put it into, I noticed that adrenochrome is a popular topic now. That's just the minute way they can take more light from at least with me, the torture systems that I went through. The black, go ahead.
Q, what do you mean that was only minute? I mean, that we talked so much about that. How is it minute to...
Okay, so so we're going to use me as an example. So when you would rape a boy, there's value with raping a boy, and there's value of raping a girl. Okay, so we'll use me. So if we're going to rape a boy and capture that, what I'm calling black magic sexual rituals, you can actually put it into vials of water, and really what I would explain it as is you're bringing, so because the human body has limitations, but it doesn't. And it has no limitations. None. But yeah, and so, but to get it to harness the energy through sexual black magic is what they're doing, so that they can bring a strain or type of energetics into what the deliverable they want. So it's very tricky to explain, but let's just say I want a can of Coca-Cola, or I want a 7-Up, is what they're doing. So if I use the black magicians, dark, whatever you like, what they're able to do is harness the type of energetics they want from spirit, from the light body, as they're practicing their magic and or abuse. Does that make sense?
So that's all very low vibrations. So they're able to they're able to capture that frequency, that low frequency, which that's what they live on.
Because they can't generate the same volume of capabilities that we have, and it's a very tricky to explain, but essentially we have what they want. And so we're going to use, so every time you ask me a question about my lifetime, you're going to notice that it's always going to have that model behind it. How do I get more light in me, but I don't have the capability?
Right.
Well, they scavenge it from us. So even so they're monitoring me my entire life. So as I come through childhood, mm-hmm. they're keeping their finger on me through the next phases, and that would be the industrial military complex. So they really liked us. I still can't figure out why they liked us right around the age of 12. Mm. And there's this line right about the age of 12. So when they start, one team of individuals, we'll call them, give up that process. And this is what's confusing for me is as a young man grows, they really start putting us towards the industrial military side, and I'm definitely not the only one. At around 11, 12, 13, they like that number a lot for hyperspace travel, super soldier work. And that's when the industrial military complex took the baton, at least with me, and then made me into, a warrior, because they could progress my age and digress my age. So I could go forward. They'd put me forward and backward, knowing full well who I am. Now, this is where they got in trouble, because they couldn't keep me in a regressed time frame or a progress time frame. So if they wanted to take me at the age of 12 and turn me into 35, 32 was their favorite number. They built up my body. They put unbelievable skills in me. They made me so I could kill someone with one strike, and on and on and on it goes. But they really, really wanted the multidimensional travel. They really, really wanted that, and be able to get me back to the age of 12 again, while no one knows what's going on. So that the guys that are coming out with 20-year and back, that's most of them don't have the right story, because most of us couldn't stay in that sedative process of going forward and backwards in time. So most of us fought out of it. If you're hearing about someone who's been to the 20-year and back, they most likely did 100 years and back. Okay. So because we fought out of it, and can talk about it, is proof that it didn't work. So that's the great story I want to give everybody is, they cut and pasted us the way they wanted to for primarily multidimensional travel. Again, I will always promote Stuart Swerdlow's work. Mm-hmm. He's got the story right. He's one of the individuals who got his memories back. Mm-hmm. Just like me, we're fighting for it every day. We're just beings with more light in us that have grown out of the physicality. How else can we proceed today? This is really fun, by the way. Thank you, Jane.
So I think it's great fun for the rest of us that are listening and to this call with you. So let's talk a little bit about as we begin to bring in more light and become mm-hmm. more of our light bodies. Mm-hmm. Where does that ascension process? Tell us more about, from here to where is, we understand, it's Zora, you have talked about that ascension is at any time. You can decide whenever. Mm-hmm. It's a singularity type of, well, we mm-hmm. want it this time around, we want it to be, collective. We want the entire planet. Mm-hmm. light to be able to move forward. So tell us what your scenario looks like as we are going through this, and what is that end goal? How do you see this world at that end goal of a pure ascension, I guess?
Well, that's an easy one to answer, isn't it? Oh, wow, that'll be easy. That'll be super simple. Like,
all right, okay.
That'll be okay. I got this. I'm supposed to be Emmanuel, so I guess I better pull up my pants here. Okay, so
my own question.
It's an outstanding question. 2,000 years ago, you're going to see the propaganda around me being here today was built, that literally had 2,000 years to make propaganda about me not coming again. So this is how good they are.
Oh.
They made a model to make sure you're not going to believe I'm back here again. Okay. So, and I'm going to do my best to explain that it's not that an individual is back here again. It's that more of our light is coming into us. So that's why identity is so important for the bad guys, is to recognize that when more of a light being comes here, it grows all of our light. Okay. So no one has a choice in this, because Source is going to bring more of the light around the region which desires, what do you want to call it, ascension or whatever, desires more of its light. It's really super simple. So now, if I was a bad guy, what would I do to make sure the light doesn't find the light? Well, knowing full well a light being is going to show up here with a lot of light. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is give it an identity and call it Jesus Christ. Probably the worst word in the universe, by the way. So I'm going to give it a swear word, and then I'm going to give it an identity. By the way, all those pictures, not even close to what I looked like. So whatever. Anyway, so now Jesus has an identity, Emmanuel, Yahshua, whatever words you want. First, you got to get identity, and now you can start breaking it down and make sure you can explain it to the masses. And that is, we're all light beings, we're all spirits, and we all have this capability to bring in more light whenever we want. So answering your question is for each individual. Mm-hmm. It is up to each and every one of us to be in singularity or be in collection. Do we want to stay here? Do we want to grow with our planet? Do we want to share this frequency with our planet? Or do we want to go play someplace else? So maybe keep working on this question, because I love it.
So when you said, Q, that Jesus Christ, that's the worst a name, or?
Well, the entire linguistical system on this planet that's been abducted is a great observation of compartmentalization, just your consonants. So to have the knowledge of living in other worlds, other universes, to see how you communicate without linguistics, let alone with linguistics, is vastly different than here. Vastly. If we look at the Native Americans, many of the ancient tribes, look at how, even if you look at Zora when he talks, and Zorea, when they talk in their native tongue, it's a song. It's just like a song. And so that would be the transfer of harmonics, and that's the normal. And this is why I keep talking on these radio shows, because the harmonics of my truth will always ring true. And that's why I do a song every time. Notice it feels like information that I'm not saying. It's more expansive. That's our normal way of communicating. Now, what would we like to talk about?
Beautiful. Well, I'd like to talk about, as you know, many of us are moving more and more into the light and better understanding
Mhm.
of who we are and how we actually got here, et cetera. But I guess my question is, how can we realize, or can you tell us a little bit more about the symptoms we would be experiencing
Mhm.
as we bring in more light into and utilizing more of our heart minds or our hearts?
Yeah. Okay. So I'd like to use there's a couple planets in the Orion system that were very efficient, but I also want to put a plug in that if anybody does want more information about Area 51 and my experiences there, I'm happy to do more of those shows or write if we want to write it down in text. I'm happy to talk about that place. And it is being resolved there very quickly, but any time anyone wants that information, I'm happy to talk more comprehensively about it. The Orion groups are the most impressive to me in this region of this area of this section of the universe, multiverse, if you will. And to answer your question, and the reason that they're successful is they worked really hard. At least they worked really hard at stopping everything they had inherited. Okay, and so that's what I'm doing my best to explain here. So if you stop everything right now, it all goes away, doesn't it? It's all gone. Mm-hmm. So if everyone would just go sit on the beach, it all change, because we would quit re-inheriting the systems that have been installed here. So if we start looking at the Dark's agenda, you'll see that they had a humongous buildup for the last couple thousand years. You must recognize my words, my information. 2,000 years ago, it was nothing like here, not one iota. Okay, you lived with your planet, you lived one with the planet. It was unbelievably peaceful. Okay, so as simplicity was less appreciated, it grew into this technological industrial revolution, whatever you like. Well, the Orion group did the same thing. They go, hey, better, faster, better, faster, better, faster. We need all this. And recognized at the end of the road, you still end up at the same place. And that is, your knowledge center comes through your heart. So the technology and the tools and the bells and whistles and the fast spaceships and this and that was is still nowhere near the unlimitedness of your consciousness, your spirit, your light body. And so whatever words Billy's going to teach me, I love it. Okay. So when we look at our natural progression of evolution, mm-hmm. it has an end to it, because there's no end to our natural state of being and the vastness of our expression of ourselves when we want to go express ourselves. So to do my best to answer your question would look like this. Once we become heart-based, through the increase of being in heart base. So you literally have to walk the talk to grow the volume of light in your physical body. You literally, each choice has to be passion. Literally, I'm very passionate to be on this radio show. I have no choice. I can't stand it. I have to do this radio show right now. I can't wait to talk another word to beautiful, beautiful people who are finding their passion of listening to me. Once you stay in that state of passion, incredible excitement is the only way I have found in other planets, in a physical being. Just look at the animals. They only live their passion. That's the best I can do, Jane.
Okay, that's beautiful. So for Orion, they all got to that point, and they did that in unison.
They all, we could argue there has been many races on this planet have done it over the eons. All of them did it the same way, and that is to stop what they were told to do and did exactly what they were excited to do. That is the only way I could standardize an answer for you.
So when we talk about excitement and moving into a high frequency, you know about the Maharishi, what do we call that? Well, anyways, so so the example is that for all people that if they all sat together at a specific time around the planet, however way it is, but it was the same time frame, and just kind of sat in stillness and just sent out love from their heart, and that just changed and it diminished, the violence, and stopped a lot of the bad guys as far as shooting people, etc., on those tracks. So people, that was one of the things that some people did. And now we are at this point where a lot of people will say, oh, well, we're going to have a meditation around the world at this time frame. UK, this is this, and then everybody else takes it from there. And together we're going to sit in unison and, be at a stillness and peace and love feeling kind of, meditation. So that would be it, right? Kind of.
Yeah. And so that does well with the marriage of the words I'm doing my best to explain. The only caveat to it that I would add for the groups that have the other planets that have done what we might call an efficient ascension process is they removed all delineation and all delineation with time. So they did they all forgot about time. So they go around. They chase a sun just like we chase our sun, and that might be another subject one day. But you're chasing your sun, and just because you spin doesn't really dictate time. So difficult when the little planet that we're on, it spins so fast, also creating issues because you have you have a machine called the moon outside your planet. But most of the efficient groups I've seen to go through the ascension cycle and or bring in more of their light body is they have no reference to time, and that's why time has been installed here so comprehensively, at least in the Western world, in regarding to bills and there's a clock on every school room, etc. Is that grapples that holds you into those boundaries of time, and so what you get to do when you lose control of time, now you're just experiencing the planet you're on. Yeah. All time is negative, dark, all alien technology. I'm sorry. And measuring the light as it goes throughout the day, very valuable. You can grow interesting food here living with your plants, but you don't need to measure. There's no metrics for the experience. I hope that helps.
Okay. So I guess what you're trying to say, it doesn't matter whether you really move into your heart center on a daily basis and always, whatever.
So do I need a date to do that? I'm really sorry. Can't get there. Sorry. Can't get there.
I guess, so what you're saying is that if everyone just did that, then, obviously the frequency just raises anyways. Right.
And so Q is going to have a global meditation day. Okay. Now, how about now? How about right now? How about now? Oh, we're already late. How about now? Okay. So I like having fun with that because I'm waiting, I'm observing and waiting. Why wouldn't we just do it right now? So
why don't we do it all the time?
with great love, I say this. So with great love.
Okay, all right. Well, talking about Hollow Earth, I know we only have maybe a little more than a half an hour. Everyone really enjoyed you and Soraya and Zora talking and discuss. Well, just really talking about the times you guys had in even in Area 51 or wherever else you went to and had a lot of fun doing. It was very enjoyable for people to have heard that.
Well, so my great respect and appreciation for Zora cannot be explained. My love for all of the people of Hollow Earth is vast. To get that education of knowing what a home planet looks like when it's populated, to have a home planet being sustained, it's absolute utopia. To have a race of beings that are so evolved is just magnificent. To be in a unified area on a planet, in perfect bliss is absolutely astonishing. To be nurtured, to be coddled, to be just taken care of in a way that is incapable to explain with the English language. To have everyone nurtured and loved, to have respect in your expression of yourself and appreciated is astonishing. And that's why we're doing the show, at least for me, is to know that it's right here, right under our finger right now. And I cherish the education that I expressed in Hollow Earth in a way that can't be measured, because each one of these planets is special because they all do it in their own way. They have their own expression, their own personalities, but it's so magnificent to see it bloom from where it started. To see a flower grow is just astonishing. And that's the best I can do to explain my experience with Zora and Zoraya, and having the courage to come to the surface is, I bow to Zoraya for that. Knowing that I held her hand, said I'll be there, is a great privilege. And to do it many times is just shocking that in some respects, I can't believe we've gotten so far off the tracks out here. At the same time, I see so much progress. So that's what I have to say about my experience in my relationship. My love to you.
Yeah, I know that Zora is here with us right now.
Magnificent individual.
Indeed. What you were trying to explain to people, the following, when they asked about how you do what is termed as to be in passion. You don't try, you do.
Absolutely. And I'm in agreement.
Right.
Yeah. You do. You don't try to do anything. You do
it. That's so good.
Just like in that your Hollywood film, Star Wars, which called that little green character.
That would be that. Mies thinks it's Yoda. Mm-hmm.
Yoda says, "Do not think, do."
Yep.
Yeah, well, that's what he says.
And even in the more recent film, which was called Top Gun, do not think, do.
Yeah. Yeah, it is very fun to hear those words.
Explain.
Well, can I ask you a question for the two of you?
Well, go ahead.
I mean, so Q, did you know Zora in Hollow Earth? I mean, how did that all happen?
Well, the first thing I've said before, the first process in Singularity for me was a proper introduction and a proper participation request. So can I participate with you? And so the ascension cycle for Hollow Earth is different for the exterior people, because you're looking at representation, and correct me, I'll do my English the best I can, but we're looking at representation of people from their home planet. So their first incarnation and dedication to a space is what we're seeing here. Okay, so I can go travel around the multiverse, but your first incarnation, we don't have a word for it in the English language that's proper, but the first place you came into Singularity to go live is your home planet. Well, the Hollow Earth people are basically on their home planet. And so it would be proper, as you come into Singularity as an individual, to ask permission if you can be and participate, because this is your home planet. So that's basically my first relationship with Zora. Is it okay to visit your planet? That's how it worked. By the way, you don't know anything about our planet, so why would you want to visit us? Okay. So, all right, you got a good point here. Well, I heard some good things about you, and I heard this was a fun place. So that's the short version. Okay, so we're going to teach you. You're not going to teach us. Is primarily the dialogue that's how it started, and it was a great privilege even today to have those memories.
So, what did you experience in Hollow Earth, Q?
So to go to so many planets has been a privilege. This planet. Well, what is amazing about Hollow Earth is its number one, its beauty, its intensity of having so to be so close to a spirit, that'd be the middle of the planet, to be so close to source through the expression of a planet is quite amazing. To see how evolved Hollow Earth is with technology is also shocking, because they treat it with great respect. They have every single piece of technology in the multiverse, but they don't abuse it. They keep it very simple. And so to be one with a planet's energy system is unbelievable. But Hollow Earth is incredibly special because all the individuals there also have the same volume of expression and or appreciation. It's quite amazing feeling to be buzzing when you live with these people. It's quite at least an individuality. Mm-hmm. Does that help?
Could you visualize it for us?
Okay, so in summary, when you're in Hollow Earth, it would look like Xanadu. So if you can envision Xanadu, that's what I would call Hollow Earth. To have a palace, to have a small building, it's not unusual. There's so much space; it's unlimited the amount of space that's there. So you must realize, as we create our own universes in micro universes, they have no limitations. To have a central sun and a crystal, your days can be very long. They can be very short, however you'd like them to be. To have a body of people that can hear and feel every thought you have that comes through heart is astonishing. So now marry that with all the plants and animals. They have the same capabilities. To talk to an animal, pick an animal. It's the aquatic animals are shocking. They look around at you just like you're a peer. You look at them as a peer. To be able to talk to a tree and talk to a plant is fabulous. To look at water and have the water dance for you and have the water sing for you, to have the breeze flow with you, change color. It's endless. And that's what I would call it Xanadu.
Zohar?
Good description. Also understand that in Hollow Earth, you said pick an animal, T-Rex, or mastodon, or what you call pterodactyl. Understand they all are one, and they know it. And that's the difference between the surface world and the Hollow Earth. The Hollow Earth is one, and everyone knows it. On the surface, it's chaos.
Okay.
That is why what is termed the Hollow Earth entrances are protected by a field of force.
Yeah.
And also, that is why the dark, as you term them, cannot enter.
Yeah.
Earth at all. They have tried many times, but they cannot do it.
Huh. Well, that is
yeah. That I'm careful. I'm careful how to talk about that, but I do want people to know the bubble technology that the Hollow Earth people have is there's to my understanding, you can't penetrate it. It's impossible, because first of all, you have to be at a high frequency just to even knock on the door. So it's so imaginably perfect. I love that technology, the way they protect the inner Earth. It's amazing.
Hollow Earth.
Yeah, inner.
Excuse me.
Inner Earth is in the crust. And you have 7 different civilizations in the Earth's crust. And then you have what you call the Hollow Earth, which encases everything else. But understand that our knowingness, and this is, right now, I feel what you call, or Zaraya's body feels, many, many beings trying to enter into my field, and they can't do it. And it just perplexes them to no end. They're trying their best to abduct me, and I look at them and laugh at them because they cannot touch me in any way, shape, or form. And when I come forth and with my energy and my field of intensity, they cannot stand it. And that's why they are keeping way away from this structure that Zaraya and Quasar lives in. I have just instilled a force field around the entire building or house, as you call it, and they cannot enter. And that is just perplexing them to no end. But understand, you as an individual can do the same thing by simply putting up a barrier around your body. And you can do that just by simply doing it.
Well, a lot of us who know about how to put those
because
bubbles.
You're limitless beings. You're not unlimited. You're limitless. Get rid of that word unlimited, Q, and go to limitless.
All right. I'll do my best. I find almost every word in the English language limited. So.
Yes, of course. That is true. That is very true.
So I argue with myself many times about my choice of descriptions. I know that we are feeling much better, though. I do know that our knowledge is coming into us, and we are having a heyday with the dark. We are having a heyday. And
another issue, Q, is in your English understanding, English language understanding, vulgar language is not accepted. Understand that.
Very good.
So, no, what you call F words. anyway, so don't use those.
Well, I have to be brutally honest, though. Zora, I have to be brutally honest. I call it like it is. That's where I'm holding firm on that one. Is if I'm not happy and you're not happy, I want us to be happy. So Indeed. That's that.
Of course.
He's calling a spade a spade.
Of course, I know.
The duality here is quite interesting. It's sneakier than the other planets, and that's why I want to do my best to explain. The duality here is so subtly sneaky, you can't see it until it hits you right in the face. So it's like someone's throwing a water balloon at your face, but you can't see them throw it. That's what's so bizarre about this version of humans. So if we use Hollow Earth as an example, they don't have the duality like we do here. And so many of the planets have so much more awareness of individual acceptance of peace. Well, that's exactly what's been removed for as Zora said, that's what's been removed here in the Chaos Center, known as Exterior Earth. You can't see who's throwing the water balloon. That's how I would position it today, at least.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's really hard to move from, to stay in that other frequency of peace and love when you're so immersed in this duality.
In
density. So how do you see this duality? Don't you see that actually getting, as light continues to grow, then duality continues to diminish, right? Or not?
Yeah, and so Zora's point, replacing my word of duality with density is most likely a better observation, because your choices dictate the frequency in which your reality is expressed. So, we've done our best on the show so far. Is if my choices come from my heart, that frequency is expressed in its relationship to its environment. And so I like Zora's explanation of density, because that's really what your choices are. They can be very low, a swear word in his example, or they can be very high. And now it's going to go out into the reality, the universe that you're creating each and every moment, and express itself. So when I say I love you or I hate you, they both have different definitions and different frequencies. That's what's so bizarre about duality here for me, density, if you like. The English language was designed to literally favor a denser reality when we have an opportunity each and every day with a choice from our heart center. We don't have to talk to ourselves when we make a high frequency choice. We do it. Maybe that helps.
Yes, that was enlightening.
Indeed.
So what else, Zora? Or Q?
We should probably talk about stocks, huh?
No.
Stocks.
Why would you want to talk about that?
My opinion on the human slave system here at New York Stock Exchange is quite fascinating that we are all bargaining and bartering and betting on our neighbor being more efficient when they go to work. And then we expect a pension at the end of the day because we bartered and lobbied for our neighbor who works tirelessly, lovingly for our pensions. And so I would really suggest to humanity, whoever listens to me, to quit using any bartering system that has to do with harboring slavery. And that's my great passion today, is to quit betting on your neighbor, even though you love them and they love you. We should not be slaves to these systems. And it's being here before, being here in the Babylonian initiation debt slavery system. I get tenure to talk about this, to have these memories. We really need to start looking at slavery and what it really is, and then you'll look in the mirror and realize you're a slave, not knowing you're a slave. And I say this with great passion and great love. Everyone deserves freedom, sovereignty for your choice, your love, your passion.
So, question, Q.
Mm-hmm.
So, for many of us, I mean, we were caught into that.
I knew I'd stoke the fire. I knew I was going to stoke it. I got Jane going now. This is good.
So I worked in the hospital for too many years, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And of course, there are pensions and IRAs, and this is what we do with money. We'll invest it into the stocks, and at the end of whatever X number of years, you'll get this much money coming out. So how do you stop that? How do we stop that?
Well, let's use hospitals. Hospitals are a great one, actually. Okay, is anybody getting cured at a hospital?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's debatable.
They put a Band-Aid on it.
Yeah.
Okay. So how come the hospitals are getting so big? How come there's so many hospitals?
Right.
Boy, there must be a lot of sick people somewhere, huh?
Correct.
Okay. Wonder why they're getting sick.
The environment.
Huh. You think it's the Snickers bars?
No.
What is it? What is it they're doing? What is it they're doing that we need so many buildings?
Well, because that's where their jobs are, first of all, located.
Okay. So the health center we should probably call it the death center, shouldn't we?
Indeed.
Well, that's true. Yeah, you and
okay.
say that, yes.
Okay, and so that's the death center. Okay, so now what is the root cause analysis for? So I'll get to your question regarding the pensions, but okay, so the root cause analysis for removing the death centers would be our choices. It's always going to come back to the same salutation. The stress, the individual stress, worry, greed, lust, ego, etc., is what's getting everyone sick. So what would the Jane Hospital look like? It would be a root cause analysis system where people live like Hollow Earth. They don't get sick because they don't harbor greed, lust, envy, etc., because they're free of the mind. They live through the heart center.
Correct.
So the comedy of hospitals is, you never get sick, then why do you need them? Okay, so back to the pension. Well, I like helping people. I really love going to work and helping people in a system that I'm not even aware is hurting people. Okay, so I'm entitled to the resources of this planet that we use a means of exchange called money. So how do I live, Mr. Hotshot Q, in a place of perfect heart center and still survive. By the way, I put 25 years in at the death center. How am I going to do that? And I guarantee everyone who listens to me, if they follow their passion, all the resources will show up right on time. All the people you need to meet will show up right on time. I guarantee you, if you're going to work because you have to survive, you're not going to survive.
Right.
That's the best I can do.
That is so.
I think the transition is difficult,
Mm-hmm.
especially in this mire of where we are presently. Difficult to, well, it's if you really follow your passion. Like, I want to be able to live out in by the ocean. I want to be by trees, et cetera, right? So why don't I, right?
Absolutely.
And let's just say I'm 30, 40 years old, and I still have to make a living. So I'm going to, I could find a place where I want to live, but then I have to commute into the city. So moving from there to where I want to be, again, I just answered my own question. Because, you can survive out there. If you've got the land, you've got the water, go ahead and make your farm or whatever, and you don't need the city anymore. But that's going to take a lot of time in this time frame to be able to move and go with your passion. Well, I don't know. It seems like it's going to take a while for people to get there. For me.
Well, you're going to have an obstruction with me on that statement, because I know that everyone can choose right now, can't they?
Indeed. They can do what is termed as in Hollow Earth, we have a barter trade system. We do not use money at all. We use our talents in exchange for goods, or we use our goods in exchange for talent. So it is simply, there is no monetary system in play in Hollow or Inner Earth, because everything is traded. And that is our, what you call a monetary system. It is through your skills, through your knowledge, for goods, and vice versa. There is no what you call disputes in that manner at all. Everyone is equal in everyone's eyes. Everyone knows each other. So, your lips are not even moving. That's what got this world into much turmoil and much bitterness and chaos. Was when they began using their mouths.
Yes, it is. It is quite interesting to see the implementation of restrictions and the endorsement of heart-centered restrictions. I'm surprised this time around how well it was done this time. Very crafty, and although it is fun to see how fast we are growing out of it, though. So I'm in agreement with Zora that this is what you're seeing in Hollow Earth is what's happening here as a microcosm, and so it's very, very exciting to watch us bloom, and I'm very excited. Very excited. Jane, what a great show. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I have just a couple more questions.
It surprises me.
That does not surprise me either.
So a lot of, here we are, the people that are awake or somewhat awake, and we live alone, and nobody else feels like we feel like, oh, yes, I want to go listen to Zora, or I want to go listen to Q. And I want to be able, but I can't do it because I'm here and I'm stuck. And every time I move, I say something about whether it's follow Earth or I talk about Q. It's like you're absolutely crazy. And then you feel like, oh, well, I'm not going to talk about them, or I'm not going to talk about anything at all that's outside of your sphere of understanding, which is all 3D. And I understand it's all about that, who you are in terms of the love that you are. When you express that out, just in your words and in your beingness of love and light and laughter, that really just kind of that they can feel that. So it just, but still, it still remains that people are just still not waking up. So we can go where we are and just, send love to everyone. If you go to wherever you go, to the store, or you go to a restaurant or something like that, and to be jovial and be laughter, etc. And, but I guess, we're looking at how can we begin to really verbalize all of this information to others is really, I think, part of the key as far as enlightening people. No?
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So I'll agree with Zora. The process is so simple. That's why it's so tricky. My story is going to get much easier, I assure you, Jane. Okay. And this is why my story has been martyred so comprehensively for these exact words. You're just growing more of your light in your physical body. That's all you're doing. And so when more light comes into the region of your universe, you get more of it. That's all. And so that's why identity was created for me, to make sure I didn't get this message out. So when people call you a wacko for talking about your service to yourself, is really all you need to observe. You're just growing more of your capabilities. You're growing more of your collective light body and your physical body in singularity. And so that's the very message that's been martyred to give me identity. So it should get real comfortable if we can get used to talking about, I am a spirit in singularity, experiencing itself through a physical body. That's it. And by the way, a few people with more of their light body showed up and pumped up the tires so I could do it. That's all that's going on. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
It's really too many words in these books, isn't there? These Bibles are really on my. I'm not going to use the swear word, but if there's 2,700 Bibles, I got a problem with that on its own. Let alone the Bible I have in my house. I keep it so no one else will get it. And so, that's I use the Bible as great, depending on which one you read, of course. I use it as a comedy show now. It's really good entertainment for cocktail parties.
We're gonna invite you to our cocktail party.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to be literal about our words, fun topic Zora brought today is, if you start, even if it's in Latin, Hebrew, it doesn't really matter. If you start sorting the biblical language, you'll see it's bonkers. You're wrong right from the get-go. Like, wait a minute, good stories. There's some accurate stories, by the way. Right. And oh my gosh, now what am I supposed to do based on the past? It's still based on the past. Yeah. So everyone who will listen to me, I encourage you to live for your future, and that's that.
Okay, live for your future, near future. Forget about the past. All right,
absolutely.
let's talk about just the now, right now. And so I'm just going to use myself as an example because
Did you say right now or right now?
Yes.
What about now?
Now. Yeah.
Now. Okay. So that's in the past already, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Let's go now. Let's go now.
Many of us are with families. I don't mean to harbor on this particular subject. We are with families also. We're not talking about work.
No, this is the value you bring, Jean. This is the value you bring. These are real good topics. Please continue.
Okay. So we have family members, and many people have the same thing. So I'm going to give an example of someone that we know who lives, with family. He loves family. He's the only one that's, aware of you, aware of Zora. Doesn't believe in anything else in terms of healing, no nothing. So this particular individual has to go to the hospital. The mother, the wife says, you got to go to the hospital, etc. And now understanding that he understands what you say and what Zora says, but he has to listen basically to his family because he's overwhelmed with the support that they are. He doesn't want to go against them. He doesn't want them to feel. He doesn't want to impart any negativity into the process and say, I'm going to do what I feel that's right for me. As much as I love you, I don't want to do this, but all right. But then she says, well, I really love you. Your family really loves you. And they really feel that you need to go to the hospital. Right. So then he or she then takes that as I guess I'm going to just try to live here, be in peace with everyone else without having to cause any conflicts or in terms of how people think about hospitals, et cetera. And so therefore, that individual then goes to the hospital and he or she gets whatever needs to get done. Right. So they placate. So a lot of us, and I'm going to talk for myself as well. So sometimes I feel like I have to placate, the people that I'm living with or the people that I'm really close to. But then when I come back to where I'm at, I'm feeling so comfortable and at peace. So how do we bring that two together when people are just not awake and don't want to? Well, not that they don't want to listen, but you try to help them to understand that there's more to life and that even if you say that you're not living in this physical body, this is just a body, but you really are spirit. I mean, you can't even go that far, even though they may believe in the Bible and they go to church and all of that. It's just really difficult sometimes for lots of people.
I love that you used the word believe, as we've talked about many times on the show, is chasing things, right? Instead of the natural knowledge. Do you want to favor the choice you explained regarding going to the hospital and why? Is that where you want to favor the topic?
No, I'd like to talk about how can you bring the people that are around you to a place where, in your understanding of how things really are, in this, understanding you and understanding more about Zora, et cetera, and they can't even get there. They can't even get there. And then you talk about even the spirituality part of it that, and they'll say, hey, I go to church, et cetera, but, we're talking about here and now, and you need to go and have cardiac surgery, or you have to go get an implant, or, you get fake knees or whatever. And then they go that route because.
Well, my standard answer is we're going to go call up a radio show host and get a radio show and start talking about. It is my passion to answer this question. It is the only reason I'm on this radio show, is to really do our best to overstand, whatever words you like here, in how our light body comes into our physical body and what we're calling the seeding of the soul, which is incomplete in my explanation, to make sure we don't get all of our ourselves into a physical body. And so if we could stop thinking is my best answer. If we could make everyone aware that thinking is the problem, because they think they know what they want to do. I will say it again. They think they know what they want to do. Okay? Mm-hmm. So, don't you think is my favorite statement.
Right.
Don't you think? Okay, so if we would just focus on what we like to use, incomplete word, consciousness that is coming through our physicality, that, see, remember, everything is after spirit. So if I have to have a spirit before I wiggle my fingers, that would mean that everything is after spirit. So if we're going to look at the delineation of time in our relationship to consciousness, everything is after my spirit coming in my physical body. That means thought is too. Mm-hmm. That means the way you see things is after spirit consciousness. Everything in the physical body is after spirit. Spirit is first, right, and you've come into a physical body. That's the best I would like to share with everyone, is you all are gods and goddesses, as Zoraya said, as unbelievable creators. So unbelievable, living in a physical being that has very little capabilities, yet can still grow out of it, still be amazing, still be unbelievably expansive. It's incredible. That's the best I could do.
That's a great reminder.
Mm-hmm.
It's great for remembering. Thank you, Q.
Cool. All right. So let's grow some fruit.
Yeah, let's grow some fruit, Don.
Yeah, let's grow some fruit. So where else can we go today? Did we do a show, you think?
I think we did.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it was great, Q.
Yeah, I love it. Today is a really special day for a lot of reasons. You'll notice that when we do these shows, the energy around the planet increases its capabilities. And that is the purpose of this show today, and always is we are receiving more of our capabilities. And I know at times it seems like our advances get thwarted at times. I assure you, you all are receiving more of your capabilities. And I want to give everyone encouragement that just your participation in getting up in the morning is all you need to do. And it is fabulous what we're achieving. And it's all coming in just fine, perfectly.
Thank you. Thank you, Q. And also, Zora, thank you for being here, giving support to Q as well as to all of us. I could feel the beautiful energies. It's absolutely marvelous. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Q.
Mm-hmm.